Well, the reason why it brings you alive to just see a twinkle, let alone to feel a twinkle, is because you're actually seeing someone who's very connected to their soul, who's very connected to their source. You're allowed to invite in more twinkle into your life. Hello and welcome back to Remember Why You're Here, a podcast for seekers and sensitives where you can relax, receive, reconnect to yourself, and remember the most important thing of all, why you're here. I'm Asia Suler, and in this episode today, I wanted to revisit a recording that I did several years ago called How to Get Your Twinkle Back. It's really coming up for me this month, especially after the intuitive reading that I did for this month of June. So if you haven't listened to that, you can hop on over to that episode, the episode just before this, where I did the intuitive reading for this month of June 2025, and just so much light and possibility and beneficence and just this sense of opening came in. And I've really been having this feeling about this month that there's this possibility here for really glimpsing hope, seeing the big picture, having these big openings come in, having healing land for us, just having that energy and that light and that positivity to keep going. And for me, the way that this manifests, the thing that I am always looking for in life is the twinkle. We are literally coming out of a very rainy end of May and beginning of June, and to have had the sun come out again now, I've noticed in my garden that there are all these starts and seeds that I planted in early May that just never took off because the ground was still too cold, because we were having this really long, sort of dreary, cold, rainy stretch. And now that the sun is out and the soil is warming up, it's like everything is happening. All of a sudden, all these things that I had planted are now taking off. They're growing at rapid speed. The seeds have been sprouting. And there's something about this time right now in June that feels like that, almost like we're getting the warmth that we need now to make this next leap in our growth, and that there's this invitation to playfulness here, this invitation to possibility. And so I've been thinking a lot about this video that I made years ago, and I really wanted to share it again here because I re-listened to it and it just brought so much to my day. So in this recording, I talk about how to bring the twinkle back into your eye. You know what I mean when I say twinkle. I know you can feel it. How to bring your twinkle back, and why from a Chinese medicine perspective it matters. So this is really interesting. This is an important piece of what twinkle actually is and how it really is this energy that helps us live our life, fulfill our missions, and of course, remember why we're here. I know you know what I'm talking about when I say the word twinkle. That glimmer, that shine, that excitement, that thing that brings you closer to magic, that thing that holds the spark of magic itself. We all want more twinkle in our life, because that twinkle is really the essence of why we want to be here and what makes it enjoyable to be on Earth. So this video was inspired by a conversation that I had with one of my best friends, where we realized the thing that we love the most about life is the twinkle. Now, you know what I'm talking about. So have you ever met someone who has a twinkle in their eye? It's a literal light that shines out of someone's eyes that has this quality of playful, delightful, mischievous engagement with life. So the question I want to ask you is, do you have a twinkle? Really think about it. Think about people you've known in your life who have a twinkle. Think of that feeling of twinkling. Can you feel that inside of yourself? How can we get more of a twinkle inside of our bodies? Because that twinkle to me is like the juice of life. It's a little bit ineffable defining the twinkle, but you know what I'm talking about when I say it. And when my best friend and I were talking about this, we were like, you know what? This is our life philosophy. I just want more twinkle. More twinkle, please. And if we look at Chinese medicine, there actually is a really interesting explanation for the twinkle. So in Chinese philosophy, there's this idea of the big Shen and the little Shen. The big Shen is the wider spirit from which we come. The little Shen is the Shen that lives inside of our body. So you could think about this in other terms as spirit and soul. So spirit being this wider source that we come from, our wider selves, and then our soul, the flake of our wider selves that's inside of our bodies. In Chinese medicine, when someone has good Shen, like their connection to their wider self is really strong and their soul spark is strong inside of their bodies, it literally shines out of their eyes. So when you see sort of dimness or listlessness or lifelessness in someone's eyes, it's a sign of being disconnected from one's Shen. So when you see that twinkle, the reason why it brings you alive to just see a twinkle, let alone to feel a twinkle, is because you're actually seeing someone who's very connected to their soul, who's very connected to their source. And what does that source feel like? It feels like love, acceptance, play, optimism, positivity, and excitement. It feels like gratitude for being here on earth. So as I'm talking about twinkle, you're probably thinking to yourself, I want more twinkle in my life. And yes, you do. We all deserve more twinkle in our life. So here's some ways to get the twinkle back. The first thing is to really connect to your soul, your wider self. If you're feeling spiritually disconnected, it's probably going to be hard to get that twinkle back in your eye. So spending time in meditative activities that help you connect into that feeling state of positivity, benevolence, and support. Sometimes spiritual work can feel really heavy when we're doing stuff like shadow work or we're working with our ego, personalities, or traumas. When it comes to getting the shine back, it's really good to focus on the beauty aspects of being here, the beauty aspects of coming from source, of having a soul, of being a part of something wider. I find the concept or even just the term angels or angelic really helpful in terms of getting back in touch with this playful side. Speaking of play, play is one of the fastest ways that we can connect back into our essential selves. When I think about twinkle, I think about like a dog running joyfully around the yard, just totally enjoying life and enjoying their bodies, enjoying their expressions. Play is actually part of how we learn about ourselves. In psychology, they talk about the concept that as children, we play in order to create and realize our reality. Well, this doesn't stop when we're children. This needs to continue on as we become adults. And we've reduced the amount of play in our life as adults dramatically, and it's causing us to lose our twinkle. So if you want that twinkle back, play more. Not only will playing help you connect into your wider self, this part of you that is in joy, that is happy to be here, that sees the wider picture, but it will help you connect into the truth of who you are, someone who's actively a part of co-creating your reality. It will help you realize and create the reality that you want to live in your life just by playing. So ask yourself what it is you like to do to play. And I think this can get confusing sometimes as an adult because we try to schedule play activities that are also work or that are also checking off a box. So to me, play feels like something that is not productive at all. What can you do to play that isn't checking off a box or anything at all on your to-do list? Is it rolling around in the yard? Is it playing with your children? Is it playing dress up? I actually love playing dress up. It's one of my favorite things to do is to put on different outfits and just like I did when I was a kid, sort of put on different personalities and play in front of the mirror. It's essential to our soul, our happiness, and our twinkle to be doing things that aren't directly productive. This is actually an important part of how we stay sane in our lives. On that note, a really great way to keep the twinkle is to not take yourself too seriously. I think we're in a time right now where we're taking on so much big stuff. I mean, thinking about the state of the world, the state of current affairs, it's like there's no end to the depth and the heaviness. And I think where we really need a break is when it comes to ourselves. Like, how can we take ourselves a little less seriously? I think being silly is one of my saving graces in life. If I'm feeling like I'm having a hard time, just taking my journey a little less seriously can really help me. So whether that's making goofy faces in the mirror or making funny videos or just getting together with a friend, that really makes me laugh. I also really like stand-up comedy, anything that helps me get back in touch with like the silly, funny side of life. Because really, when we take ourselves seriously, it's like we're cutting off our connection with our wider selves and our inner child. Because these wider selves, these playful selves, they're not taking life that seriously. They're leaving space for play and fun. And when there's that space for play and fun and silliness, there's also space for possibilities. And if there's anything that feeds that twinkle, it's possibility. So in order to connect to your twinkle, ask yourself, if there was any time in your life where you can really see that you had a twinkle, you really felt that inner twinkle, when was it? What were you doing or not doing during that time in your life? Who were you around? How did you feel about yourself? What did you take delight in? Is it possible that we could just invite more delight into our life in general? The thing is, I'm here to tell you, you're allowed. You're allowed to take more delight. You're allowed to have more fun. You're allowed to play more. You're allowed to invite in more twinkle into your life. It's so good, isn't it? That twinkle, it's the thing that makes life worthwhile. So I would love to hear from you. What brings a twinkle into your eye? What brings twinkle into your life? I love getting messages from you all over on my voicemail service. So if you want to leave me a voice message, head on over to asiasuler.com/remember and tell me what brings a twinkle into your life. I would love to know. And speaking of twinkle, I had a very twinkly moment the other day when I read this new review of the podcast from Sarah, and I just had to share it here. Sarah wrote, I am newer to Asia's teachings and feel so fortunate to have them. From plant connections to dream interpretation to the archetypical affirmation I've received, the wisdom she's transferring is deeply supportive in my life. Thank you. Or this one from Curious Birch. I've been following Asia for over a decade now across various channels, and I'm continually soothed and comforted by her offerings. The common thread I notice is welcome home, which could mean welcome to yourself, welcome to the earth, welcome to community, whatever you feel separate from. There's a very warm and inclusive energy here that is hopeful and nourishing. Well, that's just the biggest compliment ever. So thank you so much for anyone who has left a review or a rating. And if you haven't, click those stars because it really is like sending little twinkles out in the world. And it certainly sends me some twinkles and it really makes my day. So I hope that you experience some unexpected twinkle today. Out of the corner of your eye, out of the corners of your days, that there are just unexpected blessings, moments of reprieve and hope and play. And for every little twinkle that comes your way, may it help you remember the most important thing of all, why you're here.